Those smallest of small businesses pay their corporate tax, if you will, through their personal income tax. And what did this governor do? He led a charge to renege that promise on small business by simply freezing indefinitely over almost $1 billion worth of tax cuts that those small business owners in this economy desperately needed. So I stand today to tell you that it's just simply not right. It is simply misleading at best to suggest that he's been a friend in helping small business. It's why our organization overwhelmingly supported and is proud of our endorsement of John Kasich and Mary Taylor. Because there's two things that we need to fix this economy. We know that small business has historically been the engine that drives this economy. Always has been and always will be. It is the one that produces the greatest number of jobs, the greatest number of opportunities for individuals to start up the economic ladder is through the doors of small businesses. And we need desperately two things if we're going to fix this economy. First, we need a consuming public that is willing to go back and spend money. And the only way I know how you generate consumer consumption is put money back into their pockets, not take it out. All of the various ideas and craziness that comes from Washington that somehow thinks we're going to help small business, the fundamental truth is we need people spending money, and the only way I know how you get people to spend money is you put money in their pockets and not take it away and send it to Columbus. And the second thing is we need predictability. We need absolute predictability so that small businesses can plan for the future. They can plan for job growth. And when you renege on tax cuts, you simply take away that predictability. And that's what's happened. And that's what's stifling our economy. If we're excited because we believe that John Kasich and Mary Taylor have both walked the walk and talked the talk. They have stellar records that they understand and get these basic principles of economics. Now I'll turn it over to Andy Doehrel, President of the Ohio Chamber.
Thanks, Roger. Andy Doehrel, President of the Ohio Chamber of Commerce. And I wanted to talk for just a second about the business community at large in the context of how do we get things moving in Ohio. And it really is pretty simple. Businesses need a box. They need to know what they're operating inside of. They need to know the parameters, the framework, if you will, about how to move forward, what they have to deal with, whether that's their taxes, whether it's the regulations that they have to comply with, because that's the only way they can price their goods and services to make a profit. They're looking right now at a state budget that has an $8 billion hole. Argue about the number, whatever you'd like, but we know it's huge. And if you're a business person looking to come to Ohio or in Ohio right now, who is most likely to have a target on their back for fixing that problem? It's going to be the business community. So you're scared, you're worried, but when you have a pledge from a candidate like John Kasich and Mary Taylor that says we're not going to raise taxes, that sends the right signal out to the business community. The certainty that they're looking for to say, you know what, this is the place to create jobs and to create wealth. Now, it just so happened today at lunch I was with a commercial developer down at Columbus Rotary, sitting next to him, and we had a speaker about what's going on in terms of not much commercial activity in the building industry. And he turned to me and he said, well, I can tell you why that is. There's no certainty out there. Businesses don't know what they're going to be facing tomorrow in the context of making major business decisions. They get that when they elect John Kasich and Mary Taylor to govern this state. So we're pleased to have made an initial endorsement after 117 years. I keep being reminded of that frequently, but it's absolutely the right thing to do in the context of looking forward for this state. So we appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and nobody told me who to exactly kick it back to.
I'll take it.
You can.
Oh, I'm the shy one. So, folks, let me just say a couple more things and take your questions. I think the point that Andy makes is really, really important, and I can take us back to 1995. You know, some people think that Bill Clinton raising taxes in '93 was the answer. Well, just go back and take a look at what happened in this country. Interest rates rose, the economy slowed down. Take a look what happened in November of 1994, and take a look at the commitment that we had made to balance budgets, pay down debt, cut taxes, simplify government. We began to see an improvement with interest rates very close to the time when we declared our program. Alan Greenspan came to Capitol Hill, and I remember at the time somebody asked him if we could cut spending too much. He looked, he laughed, and he said, "Only in my dreams would that be something we need to worry about." The fact of the matter is, what worked in 1981, less government, lower taxes, more common sense, when Ronald Reagan rejuvenated the country, also worked in 1995. And of course, the crowning achievement was the '97 budget agreement, which provided for paying down debt, controlling government, reducing taxes, and regulatory reform. We take those examples and we will put them into play in Ohio in January of 2011. In fact, we won't wait till January of 2011. We will get started soon after Election Day in 2010. To recap one more time, Jobs Ohio. It's a program that can put us in a position of having people move at the speed of business and speak the language of job creators. Toledo Blade had some amazing articles about the fact that since August of 2009, they say that 40,000 jobs were created in Indiana, while 7,300 were created in Ohio. And of course, we've lost 397,000 jobs since Ted Strickland has been governor. Yes, we do want to have a group of people who can speak the language of business and understand the incentives that we need to keep the HDLs, to keep the NCRs, to keep the factories from leaving Ohio and going to some other state that is far more competitive. I remind you again that 41 other states have fared better economically than the state of Ohio since Ted Strickland has been governor. We've come up with a program to retrain workers. Today, only 15% of Ohio's small businesses access that program. 17% of large businesses access that program. Ted Strickland says we fixed it. Well, fix it is that 85% of your small businesses don't participate. That is about as low a bar as, I don't think you can set a bar, frankly, much lower than 85% saying we don't get it, we don't understand it. We will, in fact, rationalize the code so that we can have a job-growing economy where we can do health and safety that is consistent with economic growth. Mary will be in charge of that. And we will reduce spending. No more smoke and mirrors, no more shifting accounts, and frankly, the one-time money from Washington, which Ted says he still needs, he's going to go and beg for more money, does not put us in the position of making the choices and operating like a family works or operating like a small business works to provide a better product to the customer, to reduce costs so we can reduce taxes. I will reduce taxes. I will cut taxes. I do not back away from my pledge to over time phase out the income tax or to kill the death tax in this state, which is driving some of the best and brightest people that we have in this state out of this state to places where they have a better job creating environment, and the proof is in the pudding. They win, we lose. Not acceptable. And at the same time, as we reduce these taxes, it will make us more competitive. I'll tell you something, the people of this state ought to realize that if Ted Strickland is reelected, there is no doubt he will raise taxes. And I would urge all of you to go to the governor and ask him if he thinks the way out of this mess is to make us even less competitive than we are today, driving more small businesses and more employment out of this state, and thinking that we can continue to tax and spend our way out of this crisis. I think that's what he thinks. I think that's his philosophy. And the reason I think it is because I know it. And the reason I know it is because it's his history. 1993, raising taxes. In the last budget cycle, raising taxes again. You're going to get it again if he's reelected. I think for the state of Ohio, it's very bad news. You know, there's always hope. Saul was on the road to Damascus and he became Paul. Maybe Ted can have a conversion here at this late date, but time is running out. And I will also remind you that one of the great newspapers in our country, from Cleveland, a place that has suffered a lot of very difficult times, said yesterday, we need a change. We need to shake it up. We need a new direction, new ideas, new leadership, and some excitement breathed in this state. We will build a team, and we will do it. Thank you.
Mr. Kasich, Ohioans have heard other office holders and candidates pledge no new taxes. James, no new taxes roads, was a good example, and after he got in, he raised taxes during a recession. George Voinovich said, read my lips, no new taxes. He helped raise taxes. President Bush said, read my lips, no new taxes. After he was in, he raised taxes. Now you're saying no tax hikes,